The boardroom fell silent as three small figures peeked through the glass door. Even in a company worth billions, some things remained invisible, until someone finally saw them. This is the story of how one man's simple act of kindness transformed not just three children's lives, but an entire corporate culture. If this story touches your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content that reminds us what truly matters in life. Emma Chen stood at the head of the conference table, her presentation flawlessly delivered as always. At 42, she had everything society claimed defined success: CEO of Horizon Technologies, a corner office with a view of the Manhattan skyline, and a net worth that ensured she'd never worry about money again. What the business magazines didn't capture in their glossy profiles was how lonely the view was from the top, especially when you were raising 3 6-year-olds alone. And that concludes our quarterly projections, Emma said, clicking to her final slide. Any questions? The executives around the table shook their heads, already gathering their tablets and notepads. Emma glanced at her watch, 3:45 p.m. The triplets would be arriving any minute. Their nanny had called in sick that morning, and with no backup available on short notice, Emma had been forced to arrange for them to come to the office after school. It wasn't ideal, but she had no choice. As if on cue, the glass door to the conference room creaked open slightly. Three identical faces with Emma's almond-shaped eyes and button noses peered in hesitantly. Lily, Lucas, and Liam, her miracles, born after years of fertility treatments and a marriage that hadn't survived the stress of it all. Emma felt the familiar tightness in her chest, the collision of her two worlds. "We'll reconvene tomorrow at 9, she said quickly. "Thank you, everyone." The executives filed past the children with barely a glance. A few nodded politely, but most were already absorbed in their phones or engaged in conversations about dinner reservations and weekend plans. The triplets pressed themselves against the wall, trying to be as small and unobtrusive as possible, a skill they'd perfected in the 6 months since Emma had taken the CEO position. All except for one man. Noah Rivera, the newly hired creative director, stopped in front of the children. At 38, he was younger than most of the executive team, with laugh lines around his eyes and a relaxed demeanor that stood out in Horizon's high-pressure environment. Unlike the others in their tailored suits, Noah wore dark jeans and a blazer, his curly hair slightly disheveled. To Emma's surprise, Noah knelt down until he was eye level with the triplets. "Well, hello there," he said warmly. "I don't think we've been properly introduced. I'm Noah." The triplets exchanged glances, a silent communication that Emma had never fully decoded. "I'm Lily," said the girl in the middle, the bravest of the three. "These are my brothers, Lucas and Liam." "It's very nice to meet you all," Noah replied, shaking each of their small hands formally, which made them giggle. "Those are some cool backpacks. Are those rocket ships?" Lucas, usually the quietest, nodded enthusiastically. "They're space explorers. I want to be an astronaut." "Me too," Liam chimed in. "But I also want to build robots." "You know what? I think the world definitely needs astronauts who can build robots," Noah said seriously. "That's a brilliant combination." Emma watched the exchange, frozen in place. In the 6 months since she'd occasionally had to bring the children to the office, not a single executive had engaged with them beyond cursory hellos. The triplets had become like ghosts in the hallways, invisible to the important people rushing by. "Mr. Noah, do you have kids?" Lily asked, twirling a strand of her dark hair around her finger. A shadow passed over Noah's face, so quickly Emma almost missed it. "I have a daughter. Her name is Zoe. She's 8. "Where is she?" Lucas asked. "She's at home with her grandma today." "I'm a single dad, just like your mom is a single mom." Emma felt a jolt of surprise. Noah's personnel file hadn't mentioned a child. Then again, she realized with a pang of guilt, she'd only skimmed it before approving his hire last month. "Mom, can Mr. Noah come see our drawings?" Lily called out, suddenly remembering Emma was still in the room. Emma hesitated. She had 3 more meetings scheduled, emails to answer, and a board report to review. The children knew the routine. They would sit quietly in her office with their tablets and homework until she was finished, usually well past their bedtime. "I don't want to intrude," Noah said, standing up and meeting Emma's eyes. There was no judgment there, just understanding. "I'm sure you're busy." Something in his gaze made Emma reconsider. "Actually, I could use a coffee break. Why don't we all go to my office? The children can show you their drawings while I reschedule a few things." The triplets' faces lit up with such joy that Emma felt a stab of guilt. When was the last time she'd seen them this excited at the office? As they walked down the hallway, Emma noticed how Noah asked each child questions about their interests, listening intently to their answers as if they were sharing the most important information in the world. By the time they reached her office, Lucas, her shy, anxious son, was holding Noah's hand and chattering about his favorite constellations. Emma's executive assistant, Diane, looked up in surprise as they passed. In 6 months, she had never seen the CEO deviate from her schedule for anything less than a major client crisis. "Diane, could you please reschedule my 4 o'clock with marketing? And see if we can move the call with Tokyo to tomorrow morning." "Of course, Ms. Chen," Diane replied, unable to hide her shock. Inside Emma's spacious office, the children immediately went to the corner where a small table had been set up with coloring supplies, an island of childhood in a sea of corporate sterility. Noah admired each drawing they showed him, asking thoughtful questions about their artistic choices. Emma sat at her desk, intending to quickly check her emails, but found herself watching the interaction instead. There was something about the way Noah engaged with her children that was both natural and deliberate, as if he recognized their worth in a way few adults did. "Your mom tells me you're all in 1st grade," Noah said. "What's your favorite subject?" "Art," said Lily. "Science," Lucas answered. "Recess," Liam declared, making Noah laugh. "Recess is definitely underrated," he agreed. "Some of life's most important lessons happen on the playground." Emma found herself smiling. When was the last time she'd asked them about school beyond checking if homework was done? "Mr. Noah, why do people here ignore us?" Lily asked suddenly, her voice small but direct in that way children have of cutting straight to uncomfortable truths. Emma felt her heart sink. So they had noticed. Noah glanced at Emma before answering carefully. "Sometimes grown-ups get very focused on work and forget what's really important. It doesn't mean you're not important, it just means they've forgotten how to see what matters most. Like mom sometimes?" Lucas whispered, but not quietly enough. Emma felt the words like a physical blow. She opened her mouth to defend herself, but what could she say? It was true. Since taking the CEO position, she had been present physically but absent emotionally, even when she was with them. Noah smoothly redirected the conversation. "Hey, I have an idea. I'm working on a new project for kids about the same age as you 3. Would you mind giving me your expert opinion?" The triplets nodded eagerly. "It's an app that teaches science through interactive stories. I have a prototype on my tablet. Would it be okay if I showed them, Miss Chen?" "Emma, please," she said automatically. And yes, of course. For the next 20 minutes, Emma watched as her children clustered around Noah's tablet, giggling and offering surprisingly insightful feedback on his app. She noticed how he treated each child as an individual, acknowledging their different perspectives rather than lumping them together as the triplets, like everyone else did. When Noah finally stood to leave, all 3 children looked disappointed. "Will you come back tomorrow?" Liam asked, tugging on Noah's sleeve. "That's up to your mom," Noah replied, looking to Emma. Before she could answer, her phone rang, the board chairman. "I need to take this," she said apologetically. Noah nodded in understanding. It was great meeting you three space explorers. Keep drawing and dreaming, okay? As Emma answered the call, Noah slipped out quietly. The children returned to their table, but the energy in the room had changed. They seemed deflated, and Emma found herself struggling to focus on the chairman's concerns about a potential acquisition. After she hung up, Emma sat watching her children. They were whispering among themselves, a habit they developed early, their own private language. She remembered when they were babies, how they would sleep in a triangle in their crib, heads touching, as if they couldn't bear to be separated even in sleep. When had she stopped seeing the miracle of them? "What are you three plotting over there?" she asked lightly. Lily, always their spokesperson, looked up. "We like Mr. Noah. He sees us." "Sees you?" "Yeah," Lucas added. "Most people look through us here. Like we're invisible. Or they talk baby talk to us," Liam said with disgust. "We're 6, not babies." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. "I'm sorry if people haven't been friendly. This is a busy place." "You're busy too," Lily said, not accusingly but matter-of-factly. "But that's okay. We understand." But they shouldn't have to understand, Emma thought suddenly. They were children. Her children. "How about we leave early today?" she suggested impulsively. "We could get ice cream and go to the park before dinner." The triplets stared at her in disbelief. In 6 months, they had never left the office before 8 p.m. "Really?" Lucas asked, his voice tinged with suspicion. "Really," Emma confirmed, already closing her laptop. "I think we all deserve a break, don't you?" The joy on their faces was both wonderful and heartbreaking. Such a simple thing, leaving work at a reasonable hour, and yet it felt to them like an extraordinary gift. As they gathered their things, Emma made a mental note to thank Noah the next day. Something about his interaction with her children had shaken loose a realization that had been building for months. She was succeeding at business but failing at what mattered most. The next morning, Emma arrived at the office earlier than usual. She had spent the evening really talking with her children for the first time in months. Over ice cream, they had told her about their teacher, their friends, and their worries, like how Lucas was afraid of the dark but didn't want to admit it, and how Lily missed having Emma read to them at bedtime. "Good morning, Miss Chen," Diane greeted her. "The Tokyo call is set for 9, and Mr. Rivera left this for you." She handed Emma a folder. Inside was a proposal for a company-wide initiative called Horizon Families. The concept was simple but revolutionary for their corporate culture: designated family days where employees could bring their children to work for structured activities, a redesigned break room with a family-friendly area, and quarterly events focused on work-life integration rather than the standard team-building exercises. At the bottom of the proposal, Noah had written a personal note. "Emma. Your children are extraordinary, a testament to you, despite the challenges of balancing it all. This proposal isn't just for them, though. Studies show that companies that acknowledge employees as whole people with families see higher retention rates and productivity. It's good business and good humanity, asterisk. Asterisk no pressure. Just food for thought, asterisk. Noah." Emma sat back in her chair, turning the proposal over in her mind. It was bold, the kind of cultural shift that would raise eyebrows among the old guard on the board. But wasn't that exactly why they had hired her? To bring Horizon Technologies into the future? She pressed the intercom. "Diane, please ask Noah Rivera to come to my office when he arrives." An hour later, Noah knocked on her door. "You wanted to see me?" Emma gestured for him to sit. "I read your proposal." "And?" His expression was calm, but she noticed a tension in his shoulders. "It's going to ruffle some feathers. Most worthwhile changes do." Emma studied him. "Why did you really create this proposal? And don't tell me it's just about retention rates." Noah was quiet for a moment. "My wife died when Zoe was 4. Cancer. For a year afterward, I was just going through the motions, working too much, telling myself I was providing for her future while missing her present. He met Emma's gaze directly. Then one day, her preschool teacher called me in for a conference. Zoe had drawn a family picture, just her and her grandma. When the teacher asked where her daddy was, Zoe said, "He lives at work." Emma felt the words resonate painfully. That night, I sat her down and promised her things would change. And they did. I switched jobs, set boundaries, and made sure she knew she came first. It wasn't easy, and I've made plenty of mistakes since then, but that moment changed everything for us. And now you're suggesting I need the same wake-up call? Emma asked, a defensive edge creeping into her voice. Noah shook his head. Not at all. Your situation is different, and I'm not presuming to know what's best for your family. I'm just suggesting that maybe Horizon could be a place where people don't have to choose quite so drastically between career success and being present for their families. Emma thought about the triplets' faces yesterday when Noah had simply knelt down and seen them. How little it had taken to make them feel valued, and how rarely anyone bothered to try. Let's do it, she said decisively. But I want to expand it. Not just occasional family days, but a comprehensive overhaul of how we think about work-life integration. Flexible schedules, remote options, on-site childcare for emergencies. The works. Noah looked surprised. That's more than I was expecting. Go big or go home, right? Emma smiled. Besides, if we're going to challenge the status quo, we might as well do it thoroughly. The board might push back. Let me worry about the board. I want you to head this initiative. Consider it added to your creative director responsibilities, with appropriate compensation adjustments. Noah nodded slowly. I'd be honored. But may I make one suggestion? Of course. Start with your own family. The company will follow your lead, but your children need to see the change first. Instead of bristling at his directness, Emma felt relieved. It was refreshing to have someone speak to her as a person rather than just as the CEO. I took them for ice cream yesterday, she said, feeling oddly proud of such a small gesture. And I was home in time to read them a bedtime story. That's a great start, Noah said warmly. It's pathetic that it counts as an achievement, Emma admitted. But it's a beginning. Over the next 3 months, Horizon Technologies underwent a transformation that started small but rippled outward. Emma rearranged her schedule to leave the office by 5 p.m. 3 days a week. She converted a rarely used conference room near her office into a children's area, equipped with books, art supplies, and comfortable furniture. On days when the triplets needed to come to the office after school, they had a space that welcomed rather than merely contained them. The most surprising change, however, was in the company culture. When employees saw the CEO prioritizing family time, they began to feel permission to do the same. The executive who had never mentioned his son's baseball games suddenly had team photos on his desk and left early on Thursdays for practices. The marketing director who had worked through her maternity leave started bringing her infant to the office one afternoon a week, wearing her in a sling during meetings without apology. Noah's Horizon Families initiative launched with a Saturday picnic in Central Park. Emma had expected modest attendance, perhaps 20 or 30 employees with their families. Instead, over 200 people showed up, from entry-level staff to senior executives, all with children, partners, or other family members in tow. I had no idea Diane had grandchildren, Emma remarked to Noah as they watched her assistant playing frisbee with 2 young boys. There's a lot we don't know about the people we work with every day, Noah replied. That's part of what this is about, seeing each other as whole people. The triplets had taken to Noah immediately, and to Emma's surprise, they had formed an equally strong bond with his daughter Zoe. The 4 children were currently engaged in an elaborate game of their own invention, involving what appeared to be a mission to Mars. Zoe's thriving, Emma observed. You've done an amazing job with her. Some days better than others, Noah admitted. Single parenting isn't for the faint of heart, as you well know. No, it isn't. Their father left when they were 2. He's